Good afternoon, everybody. It's lockdown sessions again. Today we've got something I'm quite excited about. It's all about birth photography, and we've got Lerissa Kemp, who's going to be talking to us. You know, I've mentioned to her that Facebook's policies, etc., etc., etc. So we've kept it fairly PG. I'm really hoping that Facebook doesn't say, "Hold it. That's too much now," because we might be in big trouble then. But yeah, I'm very excited to see your images, Lerissa. And I think I'll hand over to you. First things first, how have you been keeping busy during the lockdown period?
Hi, Quentin. Thanks for having me. I'm quite excited to share some of my images with you, and I promise I kept them as PG as possible. The good stuff I'll keep for my own workshops. Yeah, lockdown wise, I've become a full-time teacher, which yeah, I'm not quitting my day job. Hey, it's not really for me, but I've got a grade 2 daughter in grade 2, so it is just work and homework and things like that, and obviously try to get some editing done in between, and work on websites and this and that. But yeah, mostly it's just day by day getting through to things.
Absolutely. No, well, that's cool. That's cool. I'm like I say, I'm really excited to see your images. I think it's a genre or a niche that very few people from a photography point of view ever experience. Newborns, a lot of people do newborns, etc. But I think there's very, very few people that do the newborn stuff. So, I mean, the birth photography. So yeah, over to you.
So just a funny little fact about me, although I do birth photography, I don't do newborns.
Okay.
I'm not a baby person. I'm like, keep them away from me. I'm happy with the birth because they are over there and I'm over here and I don't have to touch them. And yeah, so
Fantastic.
even when it comes to newborns, I'm like, I'll photograph your birth. I think I should probably start off by saying, since we're in the lockdown thing, obviously birth photography right now is completely prohibited in all aspects, in all ways whatsoever. So yeah, we hope by I think we might have a little burst of births by December with this little lockdown going on.
Oh, I'm pretty sure of that, yeah.
So I'm hoping by December we can work our way back into those hospitals and all us birth photographers will have lots of work keeping us busy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, well, like I said, birth photography it's a very tiny little niche thing here in South Africa. It's quite new. It's building its way up with quite a few more people getting into it and stuff. But there's you've got to be quite careful when it comes to birth photography. There's quite a few do's and don'ts, and just things you need to know. You are going into a medical field and stuff. Birth photography is not your gonna make me rich genre. It is very much about passion. You need to enjoy what you're doing. You are capturing the absolute raw, real emotions of what it's most likely most amazing day of a person's life. It's, you can compare it to a wedding in the sense of that day's there. If it's over, it's over. If it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
Adding with that to say, the difference here now is I always say to people, don't just think birth photography is something that's easy and it's just going to happen. Imagine you are on call for a wedding. You don't know when it's going to be. You like somewhere in this month. You might get a phone call at 2 a.m. and be like, my wedding is right now. You need to come right now and you need to drop whatever you are, wherever you are, race through to this wedding. And when you get there, you have 3 candles to photograph.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me get to my slide and I'll chat a little bit through. I'm going to touch a few subjects that are quite commonly asked questions throughout birth photography. And then I'm going to chat a little bit about some of the photos in between because some of them have a bit of a story with it. And well, all of them do, but I'll do that.
Fantastic.
Let me get to that sharing screen. Okay. I thought I had a different bit of a slide and I had some computer glitches this morning. So I just quickly threw something together. Like I said, birth photography is about capturing that moment which can't be described in words. You know, it's a moment that is just, there is no words to describe it. That first moment, a mother and a father, you know, lays their eyes on their brand new baby. This little baby was I call him my Admired in Africa baby, because it was actually literally the night after the awards. We still had a great night, and by 6 o'clock I got a phone call saying, you need to come right now. With that comes an image like this one. You know, that is a sister meeting her sister for the first time ever. It is a moment frozen in time, and I know for this specific parent, she's got this blown up. She's like, that picture is just, it means absolutely everything to her. So it is, you know, it's really capturing that moment that is just so precious.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, this one goes back to my Admired in Africa baby. This moment, this was actually just me trying to get a photo from a different angle. And in that specific moment, the mother just looked up and I just got it. It was such a fluke photo, but I absolutely love it. It's different. Okay, yeah, I want to move on to, as a birth photographer, there's one of the most important things, in my opinion, is you need to know your gear, you need to understand your gear, you need to be able to work your gear in all types of scenarios. So you can't just, there's no, oh, I'm shooting on auto kind of thing. That's not going to happen. And obviously with it comes different lighting situations and stuff. Just like a wedding photographer, once again, I keep referring to wedding photographers because I do shoot quite some weddings in between as well, which is a question probably going to come up now, but I'll discuss it then. But you always need to have backup gear. Like, you can't show up at a birth and not have a second camera ready, just like you won't show up at a wedding without having a second camera ready. This image here is just to go back to showing you, I had 3 candles. That's it. I had 3 candles to work with, and your clients still want their out of this world, mind-blowing images. And you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I saw those 3 candles, and I see exactly why you're saying 3 candles. Absolutely.
That was 3 candles. So little tricks here and there that we throw in, but let me say it like this. I give a birth photography mentorship program. And if somebody takes that program, then I'll give them all these little tricks that we do that helps, you know, just to get the lighting a bit better. But I also want to just go, you've got this scenario where you've got 3 candle lights, but then if you move on to the next image, so this would be a C-section photo, you need to know that photographing that baby being born is a spotlight. It's a super light bright on this baby. But the second that baby is out, they turn around and it is a complete different lighting setup. You need to be able to change your lighting in a split second from this super bright light to a theater room lighting. And you need to know how to do this. Otherwise, you are going to miss moments. You are going to miss things that's going to happen around, which once it's over, it's over.
Yeah, I know I've shot 1 or 2 surgeries for a plastic surgeon. And you know, it's exactly as you say, there's this very bright spot there. And as soon as they move their head away, it changes completely. So you really do need to be on top of your gear and know how to change settings and work with that in that type of environment.
There are little tricks to it, but like I said, I'm not going to give everything away here. I want to move on to the next image. So this image is not anything, wow, anything specific. Anybody who doesn't know these people won't understand this image. But something that's very important in birth photography is you are telling a story. You are telling this family's story, and you want to represent who they are. This mother is an artist, a performer. Everything is always a performance. Everything. And getting to know her, I got to know that this is who she is and how she is. And, you know, you want to capture them the way they are. This image is just as like a simple image, but I wanted to showcase the fact that The Greatest Showman, the soundtrack is the music that was playing throughout her whole birth. And you can see with her arms in the air, just to them, you know, it was like, wow, that is exactly this mother, that it tells the story of who she is. And that's the kind of things you want to look out for to capture, because you want to know your client. You're capturing their story.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about those stories, hey? Trying to work out the sort of angle that you can take to express I mean, like the hands in the air. You know, that's for people that know her. That's who she is. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Exactly. Now, this is probably not a photo I'm gonna go post online, but I always talk, and I love teaching. And what I teach other photographers wanting to photograph a birth is, this is the kind of photo you do need to take as well, because this just gives the whole feeling of what that birth was. A few more photos of this birth coming up, which is some quite good shockers. You'll see now. Oh, there we go. This is the shocker I was talking about. So that is a 5.54 kilogram baby.
Wow, that is shame.
That is massive, absolutely massive, massive. Biggest the hospitals had, biggest the gynaes had. It's, oh my word, it like walked out of the hospital with a degree kind of thing. It was huge. And that was exactly that previous mom's birth as well. The reason I chose this image is because what I want to just touch on quickly, as a member of the Gauteng Association of Birth Photographers, we have a very strict code of conduct that we follow. Things that we do and do not photograph. Birth photography, you're in a medical field. Unfortunately, it has happened in hospitals. One photographer doesn't follow the rules, that hospital will close the doors for all of us. So we need to respect the doctors, the medical staff, the parents, and everybody. And we need to follow just a couple of guidelines, you know, just to keep this industry growing. And an image like this, firstly, you can't see the nudity. I spoke about this one earlier. We do not post any nudity of moms or babies or anything. So it's covered. The second thing about this image is you cannot see any of the staff or the doctor's face. Unless you've got written consent, you are not allowed to show their faces. You are not allowed to show any identification if there's a name pad or even the whiteboard at the back that might have information regarding your clients. You can't show any of those things. They need to be blurred out. They need to be covered. And luckily, as I go and, you know, having the experience I have in birth photography, I already set up so that I can get images like this, knowing, okay, cool, if I photograph it like that, I don't have to edit much into it. I've got a bit of a parrot here next to me thinking he's...
That's all right. It kind of relates quite nicely to, you know, the birds and the bees that happened 9 months earlier. So.
There we go. Exactly. So, yeah, I often say to people, just even our code of conduct on the Gauteng Association of Birth Photographers is open. You can go onto our website, you can look at it, just read through of it, because it only takes one photographer to mess up for all of us to lose an entire hospital, which has happened. Okay, following this photo, this goes back to a bit of a story. We knew that this baby was going to be big, but we had no idea how big it was going to be. So obviously after birth, moving back to the bedroom, I knew that once the family gets told how big this baby is, there's going to be reaction. And I need to be ready to capture that reaction. Running up to the room before the baby gets there, setting up, getting ready. The reaction people get when they find out that is a 5.54 kilogram baby. And a big thing with the birth photography is be ready for these things. Know that things are going to happen. You are going to capture it. Once again, this is not an award-winning photo, but this is a moment in a birth story that tells so much. You need to capture that. You need to give that to your clients. I knew it was going to come, and I knew I had to capture it. Okay. Then I want to just touch base quickly. This is just an image there. Birth photography, you need to get paperwork sorted. most hospitals would like you to fill in even a contract with them, or you've got your own contract or something stating, you know, I know what I'm doing, I'm here, I'm giving permission. I always have a consent form that gets signed by the gynae and the head of maternity. And those things just give you the access into hospitals. Some hospitals will give you access, some hospitals don't. But the last thing you want to do is get out of hospital and they go, oh, no, stop. Until you've done the paperwork, you can't get in. And you can't tell your clients, oh, just stop labor, I'll finish the paperwork.
Yeah, I just need 5 minutes to sign and fax this in triplicate, etc. Yeah.
Exactly. And then that person who needs to sign isn't there, and you've got to wait, and time just ticks. So paperwork and things are things that are quite important to get done. Like, that's the first thing I get done once a client has signed up with me. I was like, I don't care if you're 12 weeks pregnant or 36 weeks pregnant, we get your paperwork sorted right now. You've got a copy, I've got a copy, and you can even give your gynae a copy to make sure when you walk into the hospital, as soon as they stop you and go, no, wait, what's this? You go, hey, I've got my consent. I'm allowed to be here. Something here now comes in, like, once again, being part of an association. Gauteng Association of Birth Photographers are known in Gauteng. I walk into hospital and I've got Gauteng, I'm wearing my scrubs, I've got my paperwork. Straight away, doctors also go, oh, I trust this association. We know that we can, work with them. They're not going to step on our toes. They just have that more of a professional respect that we know what we're doing. And we've got all our paperwork set up, really sorted. Okay, there we go. Here's just another little quick image of
so lovely.
Yeah, it's just always capturing those little moments and things happening. If there wasn't a photographer, nobody would have captured that, and it's a memory lost forever. This image I put in to include into the code of conduct. One of the things we have as birth photographers, what a lot of newbies tend to forget, is hospitals don't want you to identify them. Don't tag them in your photo. They need to be anonymous. A lot of the medical workers don't want to be tagged in your photo. Anybody who's been at this specific venue will know exactly where that is. It's very recognizable entrance to a specific building. But if you don't know what it is, you're not going to know where it is. And specifically, the photo, this angle was taken so that I had the dad in front of the door because he's covering up the logo and the name of the venue. And once again, just knowing that those are things I'm going to have to look at afterwards, I just stepped two steps to the left before I took the image. And there we go. I don't have to edit that out in the back. And I've got respect for the venue. Once again, that venue is happy to have me back because I stick to their rules. Okay. Something I want to just say for most people who have not experienced natural birth in any form, whether it's a family member or themselves or anything, it is not like the movies. It is not. I have one client, I photographed her twice, well, 2 births, and I call her my movie star mom because she is 100% like the movies. It's a 2 a.m. phone call, my water's broken, I rush to the hospital, baby's born within 10 minutes. It's exactly that. But that's one client. All of my other clients, it's not like the movies. Once you get that, oh, I'm starting to feel funny phone calls, okay, cool, you got like 48 hours. Then when contractions and things start, you're like, okay, depends on how far apart they are. You still have hours. Even if the water breaks, it depends on how far apart contractions are. You still possibly have time. These are obviously things that you also learn. I've got rules to when I will go to a hospital or not go to a hospital. This is also, once again, in your client meeting, you get to know your clients. Some clients birth incredibly fast. Some people are going to be slower. Second babies are often faster, but it's not necessarily that it's going to be. So these are all little tricks and things that you pick up with time as you go, as you get to know the industry and your clients and things like that. But yeah, on the day, like I said, it's not like the movies. I often, chat to my clients for a couple of hours before I even go. You don't want to sit at a birth for. I had one client. I wasn't there for 36 hours, but we were in communication for 36 hours until the baby was born, and it's a lot.
Wow, that is a lot. And I mean, I suppose the other thing that that people need to bear in mind is that you can't charge for all the time that you sit there either. So it's definitely something that you need to bear in mind in when you first think about doing something like this. And I think it's a really important thing to bear in mind.
Yeah, no, it's a win some, it's a lose some. I've been at a birth where I literally slid into the door, clicking, and within 4 minutes the baby was born. And I've been at a birth for 14 hours. So it's very much a yes, no. But like I said, also with experience comes the first few births you do, the second that mom just feels half a cramp, you're at the hospital. But then with time you go, there's still time. The only problem is you get moms who are in denial and only phone you when they are, way too close. And you're like, oh my word, you should have told me earlier. I've literally had a birth where I photographed an event the morning, drove to a wedding the whole night up to say 11. I got home by 12, and by 12:30 I got an SMS from the client going, okay, I think it's time for you guys to come over. And I was like, wait, are you in labor? Like, you should have, she's like, oh, I've been in labor the whole day. And I was like, I kind of needed you to let me know so that I can just mentally prepare. So there we go. Got in my car, drove to the hotel. She gave birth in a hotel room. Planned. And drove back home. That one is another one. I got there with 20 minutes to spare. So sure. Depends on your clients. So you need to get to know them and get to know what is going on. This photo, I wanted to just highlight the different types of births, obviously, and you get to read your caregivers and stuff. I've got a few midwives and things that I work with often. I know them. I can read their body language. You know what they're going to say. You know what's going to happen, because not all natural births end up being natural. Some end up being C-sections, and it's nice that with time you get to know these people and get to read body languages and things like that. This photo, it's an interesting one. It's a natural birth. Do not recommend what they did, but this was a completely unassisted home birth, meaning no medical staff, no medical intervention, no medical staff, nothing. That is her husband, her mother, and her friend, and me.
Her mom looks a little nervous on the side there. I'm assuming that's her mom?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Looks a little nervous.
Yeah. No, a lot of birth photographers will tell you straight they won't do an unassisted home birth. Because, anything goes wrong, I can't do anything. You just need to step back. But I'll get to that. Obviously, you've got your natural births. From there on, there we go, there's another little natural birth photo. It's quite intense, but you just need to keep your cool. This is the image that I won my gold at Admired in Africa with. This is also my 5.54 kilogram baby. What makes this photo special is it's one of those birth photographer bucket list photos. It's called In Between Two Worlds. So although that head is born, that baby's not technically born yet. It's not inside anymore, but it's not outside yet. It's that moment in time where you're not born yet, but you're also not in the womb anymore. I got lucky with the doctors. Like I said, I've made some friends there, and they stop and they tune the face up a bit for me. Did you get your photo? It doesn't happen at all births, but build up some relationships, and the doctors can be very nice for you just to pause and capture that moment.
It's all about relationships, and it doesn't matter what genre your photography is. You know, if you know the guys and they're playing the game and there's no sort of stress or tension in the room, they'll do exactly that. You got your photo? Fantastic. I mean, it's like with if you're shooting weddings, you know, the minister will say, "Did you get your photo? Should I get them to do it again?" But it's all just about those relationships.
Yeah, no, definitely is and stuff. I've had one guy who even he half pushed the baby shoulder like back in, clean it up, told the other people to move out the way. He's like, "Come take your photo," and I'm like, "Cool, yay, you know, awesome." But yeah, no, it's nice. You get like I said, you build those relationships and stuff. The next photo I want to wait, not yet. The next photo I want to show is a home birth. So obviously I said you've got your natural birth, you've got your C-sections. This would be an image of a home birth. This mommy did let me know she births incredibly quickly. That is actually why she had a home birth, because she basically almost just made it to the hospital with her previous birth. So this is one of those, you get the phone call, you get in your car and you go. You drive like she's 8 centimeters. The reason I put this photo in is I forgot to add it by the gear. I do shoot with a full frame Canon. Most birth photographers will use a 24-70. That is like the go-to lens for most birth photographers. But what I did in this scenario is I had my 35mm and I put it on, I pushed the ISO up, I opened up the frame, and I just try to capture that photo completely as is, no flashes, no nothing. That's also something I'll get to just now. And yeah, this was another incredible birth, like all of them.
Lerissa, Almeen is asking how on earth you capture that previous shot with the half in between worlds. You know, how do you capture that when they are so strict and let you only stand on one spot? But I think you kind of answered that by saying, you know, the relationship that you have with the staff, you know, gives you access to what you need if everything's going according to plan.
Yeah. It also is going to depend on your hospital. Some hospitals have really tiny theaters. You walk in the theater and they say to you, "That's where you stand and that's where you stay." And that's it. You respect them. You don't touch anything. You stay away. That you capture from that angle. This hospital has got bigger theaters and it's got more leniency. Once again, I've got the relationship. They know I will stay out of their way. They know I won't get close to their equipment. They are happy with me. This photo would have obviously been taken from the feet, and then from here I probably moved around to the mother's shoulder. But I only do that if I can. Otherwise, you get your spots, and that is what it is. You capture it from there. And I had a previous photo earlier that also was a bit of a between two worlds photo, but that was captured from the top. So most often, top left side of the mom, that's often where they put us. And even from there, you can get that between two worlds photo. It's just that it's a different angle. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Okay. Then onto this photo. First thing I have to say with this photo, so I don't contradict myself, you cannot post a photo of a medical staff identifying them unless you have written consent. I do have written consent for this image. Otherwise, there would have been no way I could ever post this image anyway. This image is a very, very sentimental, very heart sore, very wow image, in the sense of this birth was for a baby that we knew wasn't going to make it. This baby did live for 4 days and then passed away. But going into theatre, we knew that once this baby is born, the time's running out. This was a very, very lucky shot. I walked into theatre, I kneeled down to do something. Obviously, knowing my settings, walking to the theatre, I already just put like my basic settings in. But as I kneeled down and I looked up, I just saw this and I literally muck and duck. I just pointed and shot and went, "I hope I got it." And this is the image that came out of it. And it's the calm before the storm. It's that moment where I'm assuming this is the midwife just said a little prayer before the C-section started, for this beautiful little boy who was only on earth for 4 days.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's such a beautiful shot, and also just, you know, like a composition and all that. It's just, it works so nicely. It's a really cool shot.
So there was actually a massive light just to the top left of her head, like a huge light, and I edited it out because I was like, it's too big of a distraction. I love those two spotlights there, but this big ceiling light, I was like, no. And once again, I try to darken the rest of the image. So you don't identify the mom, you don't identify the other people. You know, there's no identifying marks in the hospital. But like I said, when I saw this photo and I was like, please, you need to give me permission. And she was straight away, she's like, of course. You know, we all knew going into this birth what it was about. And yeah, just going on that, I don't want to go too much into that, but for a long time, I was an affiliated photographer for Now Lay Me Down to Sleep, which is remembrance photography. I do capture stillbirths, infant loss, those kind of things. It sounds completely whack for people who don't understand it or don't know about it, but it's actually really important for the healing process.
Absolutely.
Those parents still had a child that was still theirs. You know, the images is the only thing they have left.
Absolutely. And I think, it must be incredibly hard to, you know, to take those pictures, and, you know, you're obviously under quite a lot of emotional strain. But yeah, fantastic. Kudos to you for doing that.
No, thanks. I have taken a bit of a break. I needed a little bit of an emotional break from it, but I will get back there. On this image, I just want to state something also, which is very important for, I'm saying this for all new people wanting to get into birth photography. We knew going into the scenario what we were expecting, but if you're ever at a birth and something goes wrong, you stop photographing. You point your camera to the floor so that the staff knows you're not doing anything. You step back. You even step out of theater if you must, but you stop photographing straight away. I couldn't see that.
Sorry, 30 minutes. Sorry.
I'm not too far from done.
No, that's fine. No rush. There's no rush.
Yeah, it's quite important. People must know, stop photographing if anything goes wrong at a birth.
Absolutely. I mean, the last thing you need is for you know, the staff to get agitated by you taking pictures of things that are, you know, not working out, etc. And you know, I can only imagine that there's the tension levels must just go up, you know, 100 times. And yeah, that's the time for you to, you know, step back and you know, let them do what they need to do without adding to any of that.
Yes, I had one, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to have photographed basically almost every type of birth under the sun except natural twins, that one I'm waiting for. But I had one specific birth at quite a well-known public hospital. I had security escort me in the hospital, wherever I went. You know, the only time I was allowed to have my camera was when I walked in the room. It was another stillbirth, unfortunately. But the second I walked out the room, they would actually take my camera away from me. They were that strict on making sure I don't photograph anything that I'm not allowed to.
Wow.
So I was done with the shoot, gear back in my bag, and escorted out of the hospital. So it's very strict on what you can and cannot do then.
Sure.
Once again, just have the respect for them. You know, that one shot that you think's, it's not worth it. It's not worth ruining your career or closing an entire hospital for one photo. It's not.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to move on to birth photography. Once again, like I said earlier, your gear. You can be very lucky, like I was at this day, where I had beautiful sunny day. The mom herself is a photographer, so she made sure her birthing pool was next to a big window for me, and I just had all the lights I could work with however I wanted to. which is nice. And then you just, go with it. When you move on to something like hospitals, that light is just this big light from the top. It's not very flattering. There's not much of a mood going to it. You don't have to worry much about lighting because it is there, but it's very, I find it very artistic, let's say that way.
It's very functional. It's utility lighting as opposed to creative lighting.
Yes. And of course we like to play with our lights, so it makes it a bit harder. And then the next image, so this was one of those through the night births where it is pitch dark. The reason I added this image is this is another one of those very important don'ts for birth photography. Is I used bounce flash here, but under no circumstances at all is like a pop-up flash or direct flash in any way allowed. Like don't do it. If you've got a pop-up flash, like disconnect that thing, cover it up, something, but never ever use direct flash at a birth. Even when using bounce flash like I did over here, you don't want it to be like a disco in the room. Be selective about your images. You've got the image, stop photographing. How many photos do you want to take of a mom lying on a bed? When you have the photo, stop it. I do try to take more natural light photos, but like in this scenario, I actually ended up just bouncing a bit of flash off the top, very soft, just to add that little bit of light. I've never had a single parent even notice it. They never notice it, they never see it, but just be conservative with it. Like I said, this is not a disco.
Absolutely. Lerissa, I've got two questions here.
Yes.
Amy Green is asking if you can touch on video at a birth, and Almeen Werters wants to know how long you have been a birth photographer.
So Almeen, I have been photographing births since 2015. So I'm going on 5 years, and it's been an incredible journey. And I always laugh. I say to people, I'm one of those people who like being places where I'm not allowed to be, and I think that's what attracted me to birth photography. Because don't tell me what to do. Anything. I have permission. It's been 5 years. As for Amy's question, videography when it comes to birth photography is a selected thing when it comes to photographer to photographer. A lot of photographers do like to add in a little bit of a video clip. Maybe that baby's born and then a little video clip of that baby crying. That first little cry, little snippets here and there. I had a specific birth where they were playing the drums in between. And it's just beautiful when you present your work to your clients. They've got that little clips in and just brings that bit of a sound in it and things like that. It's becoming a bit more of a common thing. But it depends on photographer to photographer. But it's nice. It's nice to add that little video clips in there.
Cool, thank you.
Cool. Next image. Okay. These are just I'm basically on my last few images. I just wanted to add a couple of this is right after the birth. It's like that first hour after birth is very sacred, very bonding. Once again, throughout an entire birth, but especially I think after the birth, give those parents space. You're there for say 12 hours. You are not, don't be trigger happy going click, click for 12 hours. I on average give about 120 images. And like I said, if a mom's lying on the bed for an hour, step out the room, sit outside for a bit, give them some space. You don't need to be there the whole time. Images like this, I got that moment. I looked and I was like, I got it. I stepped back. And I think I must have stepped back for about 5 minutes. Just letting this family have that moment. I've captured it. Now let them have this moment. Let them get this bond. It's such a special moment. This image, just to add back to the lighting, this would have been a bounce flash. And then off to this image would have been my 35mm, so just natural light. But by this time the sun had come up and I think I just opened up a curtain to the side a little bit. Once again, this is just one of those moments where the siblings got to meet their baby sister, and it was just a moment. I absolutely love this photo. It's just captured it.
It's beautiful. Love it.
Let's see what I had next up. Okay, yeah, once again, just like I said, after birth, this is a granny meeting her little baby boy for the first time. And, you know, if you're not there, you're not capturing these moments. And it's so intense and so precious. And it's just, it's moments that you've got forever. This is a little something I like to do at births. So they always do the footprints and stuff. I also try include the dads a little bit. Dad can be very overwhelmed at a birth. I'm always checking on them as well. But then post-birth, I like to, when they do the footprints, just footprints on the dad as well. It gives them a little bit more of that connection. You know, they didn't just go through labor. They watched their wives or, you know, partner go through it. But it's just a nice little connection. And I've had dads literally go straight to tattoo parlor. I'm getting this put on me permanently.
I love it. It's so cool.
It's once again, you're capturing those moments and telling their story and things like that. Here's a little sibling meeting her brother for the first time. Very lucky that she was lying on a couch next to a beautiful window, and I was like, yes. Thank you, lighting. Yeah. And yes, also it's the connections, you know, it's that baby, the sister touching her brother, the mother touching the sister, the dad holding the daughter. You know, there's so much connection and so much emotion in that moment, and that's what makes birth photography so incredible. It's just you've got to capture those moments.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the lighting in this one is just fantastic. It just you know, a little bit of almost, you imagine a shaft of light coming through there, and angels, choir, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
cool.
There's a big window over here on this side, and she's lying on the couch, and it was lovely. And that connection there to me was what brought it all in. So funny enough, just since she just posted on it, this birth I photographed with Amy Green. It was the birth I photographed right after the Client in Africa Awards. And luckily enough, this client is so open-minded, easygoing. I said to her while being on call, I do have Amy with me. Are you okay with it if she comes with? And she was like, yes, bring anyone, everyone, come, bring them. So it was lovely, and it was quite interesting being able to photograph with another photographer. You obviously want to limit the amount of people at a birth, but this was a big open plot, lots of space. This mom knew, she knew exactly what she was doing, and it was quite easygoing. Then the last image I have, this one has a story. This is where we need that soundtrack that you had earlier. Are you ready for my little intro there?
Which one? The hold on. Where let me find that now?
I need and then I need a clapping.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to try and find where I am. Okay, there I am. Where's that thing? I can't find it. Okay, I've got it. So yeah, tell me when.
Okay. So what makes this photo special is this was a VBAC. So what that means is this woman's first birth was a C-section, and she had a natural birth with her second baby, which a lot of doctors will tell you, don't do it. This was also a home birth. So this woman is also a birth photographer, which always just adds that little bit of pressure because you're photographing another birth photographer. Which was even more fun is when I showed up at their house. She's like, oh, by the way, my husband's a Nat Geo Wild videographer. And I was like, oh, thanks, pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure there at all. No.
Yeah, but the fun story about this birth is, and this is why I say, make sure you do all your homework before a birth so you don't end up like I did. I did not meet this woman before the birth. It was whatever, I know who you are, just come. On the day of the birth, so much traffic, racing there, thought I was going to be late. As I drive into the road, I put my GPS off. I turn into the complex, I push the number, the gate open, I race into the house. As I got to the house, I remember thinking, where's the other cars? Like, I know the midwife and I know the doula. Why aren't they here? But I'm like, I'm convinced this baby is born and I've missed it. And I just grab my gear and I'm racing and I open the gate and there's dogs and everything. And I run up to the front door, and while the dogs are around me, I'm getting my gear out, getting it ready. I'm stressing. This woman comes racing to the door, opens up for me. I storm into the house and I'm like, where is she? And the woman looks at me, she's like, who? I'm like, where's Vanessa? Where's the birth? And she's like, what are you talking about? So not only was I in the wrong house, I was in the wrong complex.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But this woman opened up. I stood in her lounge with all my gear ready to photograph, and she's like, no. And I'm like, why'd you open up for me?
Absolutely. My word. That's crazy.
I was like, anyway, I jumped back in my car, raced down 2 complexes further, get in, there's everybody happy. And yeah,
Sure.
we had a beautiful, beautiful birth. And just like I said, this moment, just, you know, this birth had so many, I don't want to go into too much detail. Obviously, it's my client's story. But there were so many times where we thought this wasn't going to happen. She's going to hospital. She's going to have another C-section. You know, it was very stressful and stuff. At one point, we actually left the room for an entire 2 hours. But me, the midwife, the doula, everybody, and we just left the couple by themselves. So the relief from this photo, the face, is literally I think nobody in the room thought it was actually going to happen. And yeah, it was absolutely incredible just to be able to capture it.
Fantastic.
So, yeah,
What a cool story.
Photos.
Okay, that's awesome. Do you want to unshare your screen, and then we can be side by side over there? There we go. Fantastic.
There we go.
Wow, thank you very much. That was amazing. So there's, let's see. So Almeen wants to know, are you a member of the SABPA, so South African Birth Photographers Association, I assume?
I am not a member of the SABPA. I am, however, a member of the Gauteng Association of Birth Photographers. And basically, I only do births in Gauteng. And for me, being part of the Gauteng Association covers all the support I need.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Let's see what else. There was another one here. Nobby wants to know what percentage of color and black and white do you do? You know, black and white has got so much more mood. So what are the percentage for you?
I can't tell you a specific percentage. Like, I also talk to clients. Some clients want more black and white, some more color and things like that. The reason I do discuss it with them is, as a rule of thumb, when there's blood, you go black and white.
Yep.
People don't want to see the blood. They don't want to see the gore and stuff. So when you've got an image that does have that, you make it black and white. I showed Quentin an image earlier this week, which it is blood and placenta and everything, and we decided we'll skip it for the meeting. But that image didn't work in black and white. As beautiful as it was, it completely lost its bang when I went black and white with it.
Absolutely. You know, and I mean, it was such a beautiful image as well. I mean, I looked at it and I just, you know, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. You know, I just didn't want to tempt the Facebook wrath, etc. But yeah, as you say, you know, some pictures, you know, you're going straight to black and white with them, and others, you know, you can still use them for, you know, the sort of artistic value of that particular image.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice thing when you've got time at a birth, is you capture your must-get photos, and then you've got time to play. Yeah. Let's play with the light. Let's play with the angles. Let's play with my lenses. You know, and you can get artistic with it. And like you said, then you know, with the colors and stuff. What I wanted to add, what I said earlier, people who don't know natural birth, it's not like the movies. It's also not as gory as people think. People think it's blood and guts and things. It really isn't. You know, yes, some births do have more blood than others, but I promise you, it's not that bad. I often say to my clients, like, average, I give about 120 images. There's only about 5 images in an entire birth that could be too much for social media.
Yeah.
I make sure I photograph things at angles I always photograph with, I could post this, could I use this?
Mm-hmm.
So there's always angles. I've done an entire birth without even seeing anything. The mom said, please, I don't want any in your face photos.
Yeah.
And that's it. I could share her entire birth because there's not a single photo that wouldn't be allowed on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got another question here from Alonia. Can you share your story of how you started your first few births and how you got started?
Okay. My first birth has got a good story to it as well. So what happened was I went to a networking meeting in Edenvale, and it was at a home birth facility. And just being there at a networking meeting, one of the women from the facility approached me and said, have you ever done a birth? And I was like, no, I haven't. She's like, well, would you like to? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So my first and my third birth were both there, and they were them approaching people going, would you like a photographer? These births were free of charge because she's just getting content, but please, we need permission to share some of the images. Obviously, I won't share if the parent says no, it's no, but that kind of thing. Where the second birth was a paying job, I posted some photos on Facebook and I went, not my images, but I'd love to do this, anybody keen, my first birth, however, now this is don't crucify me if I say words wrong here. I mean it in all the good context. Quentin, relax. So my first birth I photographed was a natural birth. I had never seen a natural birth. I'd never been at a natural birth. I didn't know what to expect. It was for a Black couple. So as I get to the birth, it was also a last minute rush phone. We didn't get a pre-warning. I get to the birth. The mom's in labor, the dad's next to me, and this is a Black couple. It's a Black mom, it's a Black dad. Their son is there. And this baby gets born. First, this baby is born in Afrikaans, met die helm op die kop. So it still had some of the sack. So that is another one of those birth photography bucket list things, which I had on my first birth. But this baby came out, and I didn't know. And now this is an interesting fact for someone who doesn't know. Black babies are born kind of white, basically white, very fair.
Yeah.
Their color only comes in after a little bit of time. And now I'm here, I'm this young, never been at a birth, the first time I've seen a baby being born, and I'm like, that baby's white.
Shame.
I'm looking at the mom, I'm looking at the dad, everybody's calm and cool and collected and so happy, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, baby is white. Like, what is going on here? And then they were like explaining to me, no, you give a bit of time and their color comes in. You can actually see by the color of their ears what their complexion is going to be later on. But yeah, that was a bit of a
wow.
Why is everybody so calm? This is clearly not his child.
Sure. That's a crazy story. I love it. Fantastic.
I guess basically every birth has a story like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, there's it's the same as, whenever you're shooting like the big moments, like for me, I suppose the only way I can compare it is weddings. There's always a story somewhere or a moment somewhere that makes that particular event just magic, or terrible. But, there's always something that you can remember it even many years later. You'll know, yeah, that's the one where the bride jumped into the fountain after the wedding. Should probably not have done that. Yeah, okay. All right.
I don't know if anybody, I'm going to bring this up in a question because I said earlier, I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
But it is something that I often get asked. So most of your birth photographers are only birth photographers because it's such a difficult, when am I on call, what. I'm not. I do birth photography, but I absolutely love doing my corporate and my advertising and even weddings and all of those things. So how I personally have worked it out is I only advertise birth in winter. The only time I advertise my birth photography. And I do it at here's one of my little tips, at a sale in winter. So if you want to book me in summer, sure thing, but you're going to pay my full price. And it's going to be my full price. And, you know, I'll make sure for when it is. But otherwise, only in winter, so that I can still have my, you know, my summer months for all my other things that I do. And the most important thing is communication with your clients. Be straight up front with them. If a client books me for a birth and I know I've got a wedding scheduled in the, you know, period that I'm on call for them, I tell them straight away, yes, before you pay me, I will be on call for you, but this specific day, I cannot be on call for you. I will have a backup photographer on that day. So before you book me, just know that this is
be
the
aware
reality.
of that.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've always had clients just be like, yeah, sure, no, not a problem.
Yeah, I know. I think that's extremely important. You know, you need to make sure that if the client is aware that you've got potential, well, I suppose it's not potential, you're not available on that day. You know, to avoid any potential issues. You also mentioned that you do workshops and that sort of thing. Would you mind putting your once we finish over here, you can just go into the chat and just put you know, link to your workshops and that sort of thing, so people can you know, give you a bit of money to teach them how to do this kind of thing.
Oh, that would be amazing. I actually have once again for the lockdown, like a lockdown sale.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is the perfect time to do, I do one-on-one mentorships.
Yeah.
So basically you come to me and we chat. My workshop says 3 hours, but it always goes to 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I don't hold back. When I teach someone, I don't keep a secret. I will tell you everything I do and how I do it and what to do. My workshop also for later on entitles a bit of a practical. So
Right.
I'm not taking you to a birth. I'm not coming with you to a birth. But for your first birth, I will be online, or I'll be on call with you via like WhatsApp. You can message me, my client says this and this, and I'll be like, okay, you can do this. Or I would say you should get going, or, you know, okay, no, if I'm having some trouble at the birth, okay, maybe try these settings, kind of thing. So yes, I do offer a whole one-on-one mentorship, just so people know what to do, because you're walking into a genre which is completely different.
Absolutely difficult to practice for something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fantastic. I want to just say thank you very much for taking the time and the energy to be with us and to share your images. It's beautiful stuff. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And if everyone is watching it, you know, make sure that you go and visit Lerissa's website. And if you want to learn a bit more, do a bit of mentorship with her. I think she would appreciate that. But yeah, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.